When old age arrives and you can no longer care for yourself, is a nursing home truly the only option? Many think it's the go-to solution. But what if there were alternatives, creative, inspiring, and deeply personal, that allow you to retain your independence and joy? Don't rush into giving up control of your life. Instead, let's explore some extraordinary choices others have made to thrive on their own terms. Comment your city below, like, and subscribe to join this community of wisdom and inspiration. Let's dive into our first story, where technology becomes the surprising bridge to independence. Meet Grandma Eleanor, a tech-savvy pioneer who shows us the power of adapting with the times. 1. The tech-savvy grandma. Meet Grandma Eleanor, an 82-year-old with a zest for life and a refusal to let age dictate her independence. After a fall left her with limited mobility, her family worried she might need to move into a nursing home. Eleanor, however, had no intention of leaving the home she had built with her late husband, surrounded by memories of family gatherings and quiet mornings in her favorite chair by the window. Determined to stay independent, Eleanor turned to an unlikely ally: technology. With the help of her tech-savvy grandchildren, she began learning to use devices she once thought were only for young people. She started small, mastering the basics of a smartphone, then expanded to a tablet and even smart home devices. What began as a necessity quickly turned into a transformative experience. Eleanor's home became a hub of modern convenience. She installed voice-controlled assistants that allowed her to adjust lights, lock doors, and control the thermostat, all without leaving her chair. She used video calls to stay connected with her children and grandchildren, chatting with them daily as though they were in the same room. Her favorite feature? Virtual family game nights, where everyone from her 5-year-old great-grandson to her daughter across the country could join in. But Eleanor didn't stop there. She discovered online grocery delivery, which saved her the hassle of navigating crowded stores. She also set up telemedicine appointments, making it easy to consult with doctors without needing to leave her home. Eleanor even joined an online community of older adults where she swapped stories, shared recipes, and found support among like-minded friends. Her embrace of technology not only preserved her independence, but enriched her life in ways she never imagined. Eleanor could witness her great-grandchildren's milestones, share laughs with her family, and remain an active part of their lives, all from the comfort of her own living room. Eleanor's journey teaches us that technology isn't just for the young, it's a powerful tool for everyone. By adapting and embracing these resources, older adults can maintain their freedom and stay connected with the world around them. As Eleanor proves, age is no barrier to innovation, and learning something new can open doors to a vibrant, fulfilling life. Her story reminds us that independence is within reach, even in the face of life's challenges. Sometimes all it takes is a willingness to adapt, and perhaps a little help from those who love you. Now let's move on to our next inspiring story, where adventure knows no age limit. 2. The Adventurer at 92. At 92 years old, Mr. Robert was anything but ordinary. While many of his peers were content with quiet afternoons and familiar routines, Robert had a different vision for his golden years. For him, retirement wasn't about slowing down. It was an opportunity to finally live the adventures he had dreamed of for decades. A widower with grown children, Robert had spent his life working tirelessly as a teacher, always putting his family and students first. Travel had been a distant dream, something he'd do one day when time allowed. But after his wife's passing and his children urging him to consider moving to a nursing home for safety, Robert decided it was now or never. Instead of retreating, he took the bold step of embracing the world. Armed with his walking cane, a sturdy suitcase, and a newfound sense of purpose, Robert set off on a global adventure with his daughter. Together they explored vibrant cities, ancient ruins, and breathtaking landscapes. From the cobblestone streets of Paris to the lush countryside of Tuscany and even the ancient temples of Kyoto, Robert soaked in the wonders of the world like a sponge. What made his journey even more remarkable was his approach to travel. Robert avoided luxury cruises and five-star resorts, opting instead for authentic experiences. He stayed in cozy apartments, dined at local cafes, and struck up conversations with people he met along the way. For Robert, it wasn't about checking destinations off a list. It was about immersing himself in the culture, the history, and the beauty of each place. Challenges along the way only added to his determination. His arthritis made long walks difficult, but he found joy in pacing himself, savoring every moment. His daughter helped navigate unfamiliar cities, but Robert made it a point to learn basic phrases in the local language, which often led to warm smiles and new friendships. One of his most memorable experiences was in a small village in Greece, where he joined a traditional dance during a local festival. Despite his age, Robert's enthusiasm was infectious, and the locals cheered him on as he laughed and twirled to the music. It was a moment of pure joy, a reminder that life is meant to be lived fully, no matter your age. Through his travels, Robert discovered something profound. Adventure isn't reserved for the young. It's a mindset, a willingness to embrace the unknown and seize the opportunities that come your way. His journey wasn't just about seeing the world. It was about proving to himself and others that age is just a number. Robert's story teaches us that it's never too late to chase your dreams. Whether it's traveling the globe, picking up a new hobby, or simply stepping out of your comfort zone, there's always room for growth, excitement, and discovery. Now, let's turn to another inspiring tale of independence, this time about a grandfather who refused to leave the home he cherished. 3. The Independent Grandpa. Grandpa Charlie, an 85-year-old retired carpenter, had spent his entire life in the same charming home he built with his own hands. It was a place filled with memories, the creaky staircase he and his wife had climbed together, the garden where he taught his grandchildren to plant flowers, and the kitchen that had been the heart of countless family gatherings. To Charlie, it wasn't just a house. It was his sanctuary, his legacy. When his health began to decline, Charlie's family grew concerned. His daily tasks, like cooking and yard work, became increasingly difficult, and he occasionally forgot to take his medication. They suggested he move into a nursing home where he'd have round-the-clock care. But for Charlie, leaving his home felt unthinkable. "This house is a part of me," he told his family. "I'm not ready to give it up." Determined to stay, Charlie and his family worked together to find a solution. His daughter arranged for a home care aide to visit 3 times a week, helping with housekeeping and meal preparation. His grandchildren installed safety features around the house, including grab bars in the bathroom and a medical alert system he could use in case of an emergency. Charlie also got creative with his routines. His neighbors, who had always been close friends, began checking in on him daily. They'd drop by with homemade meals, join him for a cup of coffee, or lend a hand with minor repairs around the house. The local church organized a volunteer group that would help with grocery shopping or give him rides to medical appointments. With these changes, Charlie was able to maintain the life he loved. He still took his morning walks around the neighborhood, greeting familiar faces and sharing stories with old friends at the local diner. His afternoons were spent tending to his garden, a scaled-down version of what it once was, but it remained a source of joy and peace. Charlie's journey wasn't without challenges. There were days when his arthritis made it hard to get out of bed, or when loneliness crept in during quiet evenings. But he found strength in the community and the routines he had built. Every small act of support, from a neighbor bringing him soup to a grandchild helping with his emails, reminded him that independence doesn't mean doing everything alone. For Charlie, staying in his home wasn't just about comfort. It was about preserving his sense of identity. He thrived on the familiar sights, sounds, and smells of the place he had poured his heart into. By accepting help from his family, friends, and community, he proved that independence is about making choices that align with your values, not cutting yourself off from others. Grandpa Charlie's story is a testament to the power of adaptability and support. It reminds us that independence doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means living life on your own terms, with a little help from those who care. Next, let's meet someone who found a whole new lease on life by joining a vibrant community of like-minded individuals. 4. The Retired Teachers Community. Ms. Linda, a 72-year-old retired teacher, had spent much of her life inspiring young minds in the classroom. For decades, she poured her heart into her students, often staying late to mentor or prepare lessons. But when retirement finally came, Linda found herself struggling with the quiet. Her days, once filled with purpose and connection, now felt long and empty. Her family suggested she move to a nursing home, but Linda couldn't shake the feeling that she needed something more dynamic, a place where she could continue to grow and contribute. After weeks of searching, she discovered a retirement community designed for active seniors. Though the idea of leaving her longtime neighborhood was daunting, Linda decided to take the leap. From the moment she arrived, Linda felt the energy of the place. The community was buzzing with activities, from book clubs to art classes, fitness programs, and gardening groups. It wasn't just a place to live, it was a hub of creativity and connection. At first, Linda was hesitant to participate, worried she might not fit in, but she soon found herself drawn to a knitting circle. Linda had always loved knitting, a hobby she never had much time for during her teaching years. Now, surrounded by others who shared her passion, she began leading workshops, teaching residents how to create scarves, blankets, and even intricate patterns. Watching her students, some picking up knitting needles for the first time, gave her the same sense of fulfillment she once found in the classroom. The community offered more than just hobbies. Linda formed deep friendships with people who understood her stage of life and shared her desire to stay active. Whether it was early morning walks, game nights, or potluck dinners, she found herself surrounded by laughter and camaraderie. What truly transformed Linda's experience was the renewed sense of purpose she discovered. She joined the Residents' Council, where she helped organize events and advocate for improvements within the community. Her leadership skills, honed over years of teaching, came back to life, and her contributions were deeply valued. Linda's children were initially skeptical of her decision to move, but they quickly saw how the change revitalized her. Visiting her in her new home, they were amazed by her energy and joy. Instead of retreating into a routine of isolation, Linda had found a space where she could thrive. Her story is a powerful reminder of the importance of finding a community that resonates with your values and interests. The right environment can reignite passions, foster meaningful connections, and provide a sense of belonging. For Linda, joining the retirement community wasn't just a lifestyle change. It was a new chapter of growth and fulfillment. Her days became filled with creativity, laughter, and a renewed sense of purpose. Now, let's turn to another heartwarming story, one about a gardener who learned how to keep growing, even in the face of life's limitations. 5. The Resilient Gardener. At 79 years old, Mr. Peter was known in his neighborhood as the gardener. For decades, his backyard was a masterpiece, brimming with vibrant flowers, towering trees, and rows of fresh vegetables. Tending to his sprawling garden wasn't just a hobby for Peter, it was his passion, his sanctuary, and his greatest source of pride. But as time passed, Peter's body began to slow down. Arthritis made it harder for him to kneel, bend, and lift the heavy tools required to maintain his beloved garden. His family noticed the once pristine rows of vegetables starting to wilt, and the weeds creeping into flower beds he used to meticulously care for. They gently suggested that it might be time for him to give up gardening altogether. Peter, however, wasn't ready to let go of something that brought him so much joy. He knew he couldn't manage the large garden the way he used to, but he was determined to adapt. With the help of his son, he reimagined his backyard, downsizing the garden to make it more manageable. He started by creating raised garden beds, which allowed him to tend to his plants without having to bend down. His son installed a drip irrigation system, making watering easier and more efficient. Instead of planting a wide variety of crops, Peter focused on a smaller selection of his favorites: fragrant roses, a few pots of cherry tomatoes, and herbs like basil and rosemary. Peter also discovered the joy of container gardening. He placed colorful pots of flowers and small fruit trees on his patio, transforming it into a vibrant and accessible space. These changes didn't just make gardening easier, they breathed new life into his passion. While the scale of his garden had shrunk, the beauty and satisfaction it brought to Peter's life grew. He took pride in the simplicity of his new setup, marveling at how a few carefully chosen plants could bring just as much joy as his once expansive garden. His family was amazed to see how these adaptations not only allowed him to keep gardening, but also gave him a sense of accomplishment and purpose. Peter's story is a testament to the power of resilience and creativity. Aging brought new challenges, but instead of giving up on what he loved, he found ways to make it work for his current stage of life. His story reminds us that adapting doesn't mean abandoning. It means finding new ways to enjoy the things that matter most. In the mornings, Peter still enjoyed his coffee on the patio, surrounded by the scent of roses and the hum of bees. Neighbors continued to stop by, drawn by the bursts of color and the warmth of his presence. Peter had proven that a smaller garden could still have a big impact. His journey teaches an important lesson. Limitations don't have to end your passions. With a little creativity and support, you can continue to nurture the things that make your life rich and meaningful. Now, let's turn to our final story about a woman who found strength and connection by staying rooted in her family home. Aging doesn't mean losing your independence, joy, or purpose. As we've seen through these inspiring stories, there's no single path to navigating life's later years. Whether it's embracing technology like Grandma Eleanor, traveling the world like Mr. Robert, staying rooted in your beloved home like Grandpa Charlie, finding community like Ms. Linda, or adapting a passion like Mr. Peter, each story reminds us that aging is an opportunity for growth and reinvention. The choice is yours to create a chapter that's uniquely fulfilling. Take control of your journey, explore your options, and live with courage and creativity. What's your story? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more inspiration. Your best years are still ahead. Live them fully.